Hey guys, welcome back to Team Death Slinger. My name is Peter, and today we're putting a bow on 2025. We're wrapping it up. We are updating. We are setting some expectations for 2026, talking about where the channel's going, some changes, and just kind of telling you guys what's going on. So think of this as a channel update. But thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you've watched my videos this year, if you've seen more than one and you're not subscribed at this point, consider subscribing. Be a great way to close out the year. So here's a TLDR for anyone who does not have the time to stick around for this whole video. But TLDR, no more stats videos. Content is going to be slowing down, but I am still playing the game. Happy New Year. I hope you enjoy your 2026. But you know, there's the short form for you. So that puts a bow on everything if you don't care. But for those of you who do care and want more information, here we go. Content updates. So ongoing content, things I still want to do through 2026. That's going to be deck profiles, opinion pieces, and collab content. For me, this is the bread and butter of this channel. It is what gets the views going. It's what gets the engagement with the community here. And I do want to keep doing all of these different content pieces throughout next year. Also, on the note of collab content, I really do want to try my best to hone in on this in 2026. I would like to up not necessarily the production value, but the amount of effort I put into these. I tried to pick some low-hanging fruit, things like wheel spins, where it's kind of low effort to edit, to get out a product that lets content creators' personalities shine a little bit more than just playing the card game silently with each other. But I think Digimon as a whole, the space of the Digimon card game, we do collabs really badly. I think there's a lot of space to improve, to do more. I think if you look at Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh, people do a lot with the card games. They do a lot with other creators, and I think there's just a lot of room to improve there and get other creators involved. I do want to expand the amount of people that I collab with, get outside of my immediate circle. I know I do a lot of videos with DigiDane. I do some with Panda, Kavinsky, just the usual suspects group of people, but I would like to expand that and try and get more people involved in some more projects and maybe expand our range of type of content as well. So I want to keep things interesting, and I want to help the Digimon community as a whole grow in terms of what we do for collab content. So kind of a big focus, I think, for me going in 2026. Discontinued content, we're not going to be doing the stats video anymore. Those of you who do know, there was a stats tool that I was developing. I did a couple videos using it, talking about different card usage stats, trying to talk about what should or shouldn't be banned based on usage. And quite frankly, I'm tired of updating it. I don't really care that much. The views on the videos that I made using that tool weren't really worth the payoff. It was just a whole lot of work for a whole lot of nothing. And unless I was going to intend to kind of like monetize it or turn it into like a web tool or something for wider community use, there's just no point in sinking my time into it. It wasn't the cleanest thing ever anyway. So, I'm letting it fall by the wayside. It is on GitHub. If anyone wants the link for that, I could post it. But yeah, that's where that's at. Video frequency in 2024 and 2025, if you don't know, we were doing 2 deck profiles and 1 miscellaneous video per week. That would either be an opinion piece, a wheel spin content video, some kind of collab, literally anything other than a deck profile. I was trying to hit those 3 videos per week, usually doing a deck profile Monday, Friday, and then doing another piece of content on Wednesday. And I would try to get that done a week ahead of time, have it ready for the week, and do that every single week. And we did through all of 2024 and most of 2025 until the later part of the year. Now, through 2026, we're probably going to maintain the cadence that we're in right now, where it's about a video a week. More if a set is particularly interesting, less if I don't really have anything I feel like doing content on. And that's because channel content is going to be mostly contingent on my interest in the game rather than my interest in growing as a content creator. We are going to talk about that. So in 24 and 25, I was really driven by wanting to grow the channel. I wanted to chase the numbers. I wanted to build a community that wanted the same thing I did. I wanted to build jank decks. I didn't want to play what was meta. I wanted to brew and cook and find other people that enjoyed that kind of thing. And I did that. I think I successfully did that in 2024 through 2025. We have a Discord with a lot of people who like cooking decks. I like having conversations with a lot of people there about some interesting off-meta strategies. And that's great. That's lovely. We did that. But through recently and more into 2026, my interest has kind of shifted, and that is kind of the least of my interest right now. So we can talk about the state of the game a little bit, and don't worry, I'm not going to do a whole 15 minutes on why the game is dying and why it's terrible, but I think the contextual information for why my motivation has changed is important, and the state of the game does relate to that, so we're going to talk about it a little bit. One of the big headliner topics here, Digimon is no longer my main game. Through 24 and 25, it was most of what I was playing. It was most of what I spent my money on. I was building a lot of decks. I was really playing like 3 or 4 different decks each set, right? So I was either updating decks building new decks. Like I have a box over there, one of the like Game Genic 1100 deck boxes that holds like 10, 12 decks, something like that. And it would just be full of a rotating cast of decks, playing new things every single set. And honestly, I haven't really been interested in building more than one deck per set in a little bit here. Maybe since BT21, maybe even before that, maybe since like the Special Booster 2.0 or 2.5 with all the hybrid stuff. It's just kind of been, there's one thing that really grabs my interest, and everything else is kind of, well, whatever. And that kind of coincides with the interest in my play group waning, right? So we would get together, twice a month, a couple of buddies. We don't really have a locals for this card game where I'm at. So I'd have some buddies come around and we'd play the game. And then we would play once a month, do Digimon. And then once a month, we would do Magic. And more often than not now, we just play like 1 or 2 games of Digimon. And then we just switch over to Magic for like the entire time. So we're really just playing Magic now. The interest as a whole for my group isn't really on Digimon. So, that's kind of a big thing for somebody who makes content on Digimon, right? I'm playing the game less. I'm able to test decks less, especially before decks release and are available on DCGO. So it's a little bit trickier now, right? So I also think there's a pretty big mismatch between the card design right now and my philosophy as a player. There's some compatibility issues there, right? So the game heavily rewards decks that are aggressive, protected, and generate advantage as a byproduct of executing their game plan. So what do I mean by that? The good decks, which are mostly new decks, just kind of win by doing their thing, which sounds really silly, but like you don't have to set up extra pieces. You digivolve your stack, you get free tamers, you get free bodies, free tokens, you have protection on a stack. It's going to delete things when you digivolve. Good decks kind of just do everything that you need them to do, right? And a lot of the cards I like are old, they're unsupported, and they're not fast enough to do damage against new decks. New decks are really, really fast. The meta right now is incredibly aggressive, and when you want to play old cards like BT5 Chaos Gallantmon, it's just really hard, guys. Like, you gotta set up tamers, you take a turn away to do that, and a lot of decks now, I mean, almost every single deck now has a way to play free tamers, so you're getting tamers down for free. That's a turn that I don't get, right? If we're playing a jank deck, you got a turn of setup. The opponent doesn't have to do that. They're going to promote out first. They're going to get damage in. And now you're scrambling. You're playing on the back foot. You're trying to figure out how to break their stack. And if a deck has protection, that's it. Like, I'm taking a turn to set up and then I'm going to promote. I can't deal with their stack. They've probably already gotten 2 or 3 checks in, because nowadays, like, every single deck has a way to do multiple checks in one go, either by generating free bodies or by having like Sec+1 or some kind of inherit that gives them a way to trash security. And it's just really, really hard to catch up from that position. And it's really hard to make these decks work against these newer, faster decks, right? So as a whole, it's just hard to brew jank when you die really fast, okay? And that's no slight. That's not me saying that, the game is worse than it was, but it just means that the cards I like and the way I like playing the game is incompatible with where card design is at right now, right? Jank as a whole is getting harder to brew when decks you want to play are trait-locked packages. So this is kind of a pet peeve I've had recently, and BT24, it specifically came back into my mind with Dorogoromon and the Crossroads Witch. So I love Dorogoromon, and I want ways to play Dorogoromon and do interesting things with Dorogoromon. So the best one we have is either the promo or the BT16, right? The promo wants a Kosuke in trait. Okay, so there's only one Kosuke. The Crossroads Witch doesn't do anything there. And if you don't know about the Crossroads Witch, it's an X antibody trait tamer. It's another Shu Yu Lin, and it can mind link to any X antibody trait. Digimon. So I wanted to play this with Dorogoromon, but Dorogoromon wants you to have an SOC trait tamer specifically to get its when digivolving effect, which means that you can never get a new tamer that supports Dorogoromon unless it has the SOC trait. And that's kind of really frustrating, because the Crossroads Witch is a great tamer. It would fix some color issues where if you're running like AG, because it's an SOC trait tamer and you want tamers that generate memory with your Dorogoromon, well, you have a little bit of a mismatch because it's purple, but Crossroads Witch is black, but doesn't have the SOC trait. So you can't actually trigger the Dorogoromon when digivolving effect because you don't have an SOC trait tamer in your stack with Crossroads Witch. So it's just kind of these little things that, like, Crossroads Witch wouldn't break Dorogoromon. It would make it a little bit smoother of a deck, but Bandai likes to and has shifted to building these trait-locked packages that are specifically designed to play with a specific subset of cards, and that does make it really hard to build jank decks, to improve decks that are not necessarily great, decks that don't have a lot of support. They're all kind of locked out of reaping the benefits of some of these newer and more interesting cards, and that's a little bit frustrating and kind of hard to make my whole channel shtick work with, right? When I want to build jank decks and I'm trying to show you guys what I think is interesting, it's hard to do that when these decks are trait locked. Lastly, give me Chaos Gallantmon. This kind of ties into everything else, right? But when decks are hard to build, jank is hard to build, and I'm playing with old cards because they're my favorite cards, when I'm not getting any new cards that are of my favorite Digimon, it kind of makes it hard to want to keep playing the game, right? I'm getting bodied by new decks because I'm playing old cards, and I'm playing old cards because there are no new versions of the cards I like. I mean, there's not much I can do about that, right? We did kind of get hinted at that we would maybe get a new Chaos Gallantmon with the BT24, Magidramon, Guilmon, and Growlmon reveals. But, it's still up in the air if that's going to happen. I think a new one would renew my interest in the game and keep me playing for probably a long time, to be honest with you, trying to find ways to cram it into things. But I think the trait locking issue would still come up. Getting it to work with other packages might come up still. But, I think I can put that there as a bullet point for keeping me in the game would be if I could get a new Chaos Gallantmon. That'd be wonderful, guys. So that's kind of where we're at. I hope you guys have a great day. That's it for this video. Let me know if there's any content that you specifically want me to keep doing through 2026. Let me know what your favorite content that we made this year was. It's been great having you guys around. I hope you enjoy your 2026, and I hope your 2025 was great as well. So thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Thank you to our channel members for supporting this channel. It's people like Langlong, Big Z11, Coffee Deus, and DigiDane who make videos like this possible.